My name is Asaf BARZILAY. I'm working at Extreme Reality, and I'm going to talk about motion games. And I believe the people who joined this session believe that motion games has something which is other than the standard games we're talking about. Is it because they are free, they are natural, they're fun, they're cool, they're different, and that's the reason we want to talk about them and understand what we can do with them and where can we take them. So all of these games have been arriving to the market by the leading consoles, the Sony Move, the Kinect, the Wii. And these consoles, don't get me wrong, have great technology and some great games in them. And they provided this new user experience to vast audience. It's not just R&D labs somewhere where no one can see them, but actually in the stores, people buy games, people enjoy motion experience. However, this experience is not for anyone these days when we're concentrating on AAA consoles. It's not for everyone because the cost is very expensive. We're talking tens of dollars per games, usually mid or hardcore games. It's not any time because you really need to free up your living room, clear the house, move the tables around, and get the environment done. And it's not anywhere because you cannot take it with you to the park or just to a friend because you will not bring the entire console on your back. So all of these restrictions actually take some of the major players which we have today and leave them out of the game. And when we're talking out of the game, that they're practically out of the game of the motion games. And these players are these small players, which we call Windows and iOS and Android. And by this we mean the entire laptop, personal PCs, tablets, mobile phones, etc. All of these devices are not really taking part in the experience of the motion games. Not to mention the smart TVs, which are very smart, but do not have the sensors and the abilities required today in order to enjoy the motion game experience. I'm not going to talk about them too much today. You can just understand from what I'm talking about the others, also regarding about the smart TVs. So the fact that all of these guys are staying out of the motion games has a lot of effect, because once these guys are out of the scene, also these guys are out of the scene. We cannot talk about social when we talk about motion games today. We don't have a game spreading around very quickly throughout YouTube or throughout Facebook, because we're already restricted to some kind of hardware or some kind of accelerometer or sensor, and then you cannot trust the fact that all of your users, all of your friends are going to have the same device at home. Once these guys are out, also virality is out. We don't hear about a motion game on a console being spread into tens of millions of users in no time, or what's the big success, or what's the Candy Crush, or what's the Angry Bird of motion games, because simply the infrastructure is not there. They are very limited inside that box which you have to place inside your living room. And one more thing which is not available is casual gaming. You can't really have a casual session, a casual game when you talk about motion game today. Once again, it brings you back to the living room, a lot of money, dedicated hardware. So there are actually very good historic reasons for the fact that we have locked the motion games within the consoles. Mobile devices and tablet devices usually had low computation power. We were unable to run complex video analytics and computation on these devices. They had very small screens, and it was almost impossible to play a motion game in front of a mobile phone standing 2 meters away from you. Very low screen resolutions and very complex development processes. If you've tried to put a game on a feature phone 7 or 8 years ago, it was practically impossible to do that. Well, we're happy to say that these historic reasons are no longer valid. The displays are amazing. They've got amazing resolutions, retina displays. The computational power of iPad and tablets and mobile phones, of smartphones, is actually reaching the computational power of computational devices as PCs and desktops a couple of years ago. And connectivity is no longer an issue. We can say almost the forbidden word cable, the HDMI cable, but it's a single cable we can connect to a tablet or a phone and connect it to a big screen. And we also have a lot of wireless capabilities throughout streaming capabilities and AirPlay, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these barriers are gone. And actually, we can already think about situations like this when a people is standing 1.5 or 2 meters away from the iPad and enjoying a motion game because the resolution and the screen are that good. Otherwise, we can think of the devices becoming the actual consoles. Think of your set-top box with a camera or your Android console or your smartphones or your tablets. They are the actual consoles, and all we need is a big screen. So we just connect whatever runs on these small devices to a bigger screen, and we have a new type of console, which is the consoles that we already have in our pockets and on our desks and every day. And then we can arrive to a situation like this, where we play actually in front of an iPad, but we enjoy it on a very big screen. Looking a little bit reality check on what's there in the market in the past few years, there has been software-only solutions being able to run on any device and platform, but they've been mainly focusing on very much the entire body movement to the left, to the right, no really skeleton analysis on giving the capabilities that, for example, Kinect is giving. Either that, or we've been focusing on very close range operation, more about user interface, UI, click, drag and drop, et cetera, and it's mainly two-dimensional. I would like to present what Extreme Reality has been doing over the last 1.5 years. It's called Extreme Motion. And Extreme Motion is a solution that actually analyzes the human body in a skeleton way. Every joint of the human body, elbows, palms, shoulders, head, and center of mass, throughout every frame of the camera, without any need to dedicated hardware, meaning we're running on all of those friends that were left behind, the Windows, the Android, and the iOS, without any need for any additional hardware, just using the front-facing camera of the tablet, the smartphone, or whatever. So these guys are back in the game, and we can start developing, and we can start bringing all of those friends that were out of the game before. And just a short clip on how it looks like. So this is a game named Sky Hero, being published by Chilingo. And here, this studio took a tablet game just like this, falling off the tower, and needed to do left and right, and created this new experience of the person actually moving to the left and right and getting more engaged in the game. Go Dance by Sega, a game built from scratch, built on Extreme Reality SDK, bringing Just Dance user experience into the iPad. And Beat Booster, for example, is a game that initially was built for consoles, using a 3D depth sensor. And now it was converted, using the same graphics, same gameplay, etc., to run on Windows 8. And it's available on the Windows 8 store on Microsoft, using the front-face camera of any PC. So these kind of experiences were actually only available in AAA consoles so far, but now they're being available also on various platforms, which are everyday platforms such as PC and laptop. And just the last one. Dance World Remix, once again, a game that initially was developed for 3D depth camera and now runs on any PC. using the silhouette of the person in front of the PC. All of these games are available for download already in everywhere on the website or on the App Store. Okay, so how does it actually work? I'm going to soon show it to you. We build a skeleton on top of the user, represent the joints of the person, and let me just demonstrate it to you live, and that's going to be the easiest way. So the moment I put my hands up, I have a skeleton running on top of me. In every frame, no latency, it's tracking me with every joint of my body, my palm, my elbows, my shoulders. It can track them and gives the XYZ coordinates to each and every developer using the API. It can look at the positions which we've predefined very easily, no problems. It can identify stuff like moving forward and backwards and swipes and everything that we want to do, because the system is really, really live and provides real-time information for the developer, both on XYZ coordinates and on top of that. On top of that, what we provide is tools for the developers to create and design really easily positions and gestures to look for in the game, so you don't have to deal constantly with X, Y, Z parameters and information, and provide tools for user interface and menus navigation. So we've got some new paradigms when we talk about motion. Some that we 10 minutes ago completely looked at differently. Motion game is not that expensive anymore. Motion games can be purchased for $0.99 or $1.99 in the App Store. It's very easy. You don't have to spend tens of dollars on each games anymore, and you can find examples already in the App Stores and in the Win Store. Mobile game is casual. You can take the iPad and play with it whenever you want. It's quick. You don't have to be fully engaged in it. Motion game is social. You can spread the word. You can put it on your Facebook. You can share with it and do whatever you want with it. So also it's viral, and of course it's mobile. For the first time, we bring real motion into mobile. So what are my options when we talk about creating motion games experiences? The first option, as always, is develop a new game. You take the SDK, you think of a game, and you build it from scratch. However, this usually takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. So there is, of course, the option to motionize. We call it to motionize, and it's not monetize. Motionize helps to monetize. Is take an existing game, which is a keyboard game or a touch game or accelerometer game, and just build the motion layer on top of that. We have seen developers, for example, this snowboard game, we've seen developers just doing that very quickly, assigning motion activities and capabilities to the actual game, and in no time, and I'm talking about a week or two, providing a completely new user experience to a game their users already know and already like, or started to get bored of, and now want to play it in a different way. So we add the motion layer, and we've seen it happening both in iOS and in Windows, and developers love it because it's not a lot of work and they don't have to do a whole new game. Last but not least is if you have already a motion game like the dance game I showed last, you can take the same game, remove the layer which requires the technological depth camera, and have it running on any other device. Thank you. Sorry? In Unity? Okay, we support completely Unity. We run practically as a plugin in Unity, and most of the games that have been developed so far have been developed on Unity, both on Windows and iOS. It's completely compatible.
I noticed from the demos that they're all Windows or iOS. Have you got any Android games?
Yes, actually, we're just launching the Android SDK these days. We provided this beta just to a couple of developers we've been working on. We're launching a challenge for Android. We announced it today, and we're going to give for the challenge the SDK for developers to try and experience it. But yes, we are opening up to Android. Since we're cross-platform completely, that was just the next step ahead, following Windows and iOS. But Android is here, and as I mentioned in the presentation, and we're expecting our first Android game to be launched before the end of the month or early next month, which can be a good example of how to work with Android. And the challenge is going to bring additional games, and it's going to be part of the ecosystem.
Can you also handle multiple people in front of the camera? So what happens then?
Okay, it's a great question because we're being asked it a lot. Technologically wise, there is no problem. There is no problem. We can just, these stuff are strong enough, iPad Air is strong enough, and Android console are strong enough in order to run two parallel skeletons at once. The main problem is the camera. The camera's field of view, unlike a Kinect camera, which is very wide and can capture the entire room, the camera field of view over this is very narrow. And if two people would stand over here and try to do some motion, no matter what the game is, they will end up boxing each other. So technically it's possible, but realistically it's not possible.
But in terms of interference, if someone is half in the image or not, do you see that the software starts jumping around if multiple people run through the image?
Okay, we are always aware of the fact that more people are coming into the image. We recognize them, we notice them. If you would come completely in front of me, then it would be very difficult. But if you would try to steal my skeleton, even in the demo later on I can show it to you, it's very difficult to steal a skeleton once I did an initialization pause, mainly because we recreate the skeleton with every frame of the camera. We don't drag mistakes. So even if you drag it for a very, very short while, the user experience, and the user never sees the skeleton. It sees a whole game. It doesn't look at the skeleton only, is not damaged by that. But indeed, we are taking into account a lot of elements which derive out of using such cameras, both about the user and about the environment. And we warn the user, and we help the user, and we guide them what to do if it's not optimal. Thank you very much.